भक्ताभीष्टवराभयप्रदकरम् कौपीनमात्रोज्ज्वलम् स्वात्मानन्दरसानुभूतिविवशम् सर्वानवद्याङ्गकम् श्रीमन्तं श्रीरमणेश्वरं गुरुवरं योगासनाध्यासितं ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षातात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामच्युतवत् पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। Namo Ramana. We will commence the Friday Atma Vicharam by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. We have been reading his Upadesham and meditating upon it. And this Upadesham is being read from the book Ramana Answers, Self-Enquiry 1900 to 1950, a compilation of all the answers given by Bhagavan on the subject of Atma Vichara, self-enquiry, between 1900 to 1950. And this compilation has been done by our founder, President Sri A.R. Natarajanji. And we have been looking at the question and answer sessions in the put to Bhagavan between 1936 to 1950. And we have been last few weeks meditating on a series of connected questions by a devotee. We will look at it and meditate on this week's question and answer. Following that, we will have a 20 minutes Atma Vichara session, and then Nanda Kumarji would be talking about Bhagavan's Upadesham as it has been contemplated or covered in talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, and then we will have the concluding prayers to Bhagavan. The devotee asks Bhagavan, please tell me the way. Bhagavan says, is it necessary to show the way in the interior of your own home? This is within you. Devotee says, what do you advise me to do? Bhagavan says, why should you do anything? Only keep quiet. Why not do so? Each one must do according to his own state. Devotee, I see the absurdity, but I speak from the physical plane. Bhagavan, you say I. Who is that I? If that is found, you can later see whose is the illusion. You say you are in the physical plane now. In which plane are you in dreamless sleep? Devotee, yes, but I did not function then. Bhagavan, so then, yes, but I did not function then. Bhagavan, so then you existed in deep sleep. You are the same one who continue to exist, are you not? Devotee, yes, Maharshi, with this difference that you did not function in your sleep. Rather, you are associated with the thinking faculty in your waking state and you are disassociated from it in sleep. Is it not so? Devotee says, yes, Maharshi. Which is then your real nature? Is it to be associated with thinking or to be disassociated? The devotee says, I see it now, but I was not aware of my being in sleep. Bhagavan says, you say so now. You did not say so in your sleep. Or do you deny your existence in sleep? Devotee, no, Bhagavan. It amounts to this that you exist in both states. The absolute existence is the self. You are also conscious of the existence. Existence is also consciousness. That is your real nature. The first is he the devotee asking Bhagavan the way to the self knowledge. And Bhagavan says, how can one show the way to the interior of one's own self or one's own home? And so then the devotee says, okay, if I have to, what do I do to go into this interior thing? Bhagavan says, don't do anything. Keep quiet and do it and see. Then but the devotee identified with the physical plane in the waking state seems to say that I don't know what to do in this waking state. I speak from the physical plane, he says. Bhagavan says, you say I, what is that I that you refer to? And he takes the devotee to the dreamless sleep state and asks, did you have this I in that? Did you experience in the this I in the dreamless sleep? Yeah, the devotee says, yeah, but I did not function there. Bhagavan says that you did exist there. So from this conversation, we can see how much we are associated with the doing and the thinking. Rather, this doing and thinking entity is what we think we are. And therefore, the dreamless sleep also, we believe that this entity, which can do and think, which is nothing but this body, and in associated with it, its brain and all of that, which and the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas. Therefore, we identify so strongly with that. And therefore, even in the deep sleep is referred to, we believe that as this entity, this name and form, we have gone into the sleep as well. And therefore, since I was not aware of what was happening in that state as this entity, therefore I recollect and say, I don't know what happened in the deep sleep. Bhagavan, in the next answers, says very clearly that we are so occupied with this thinking faculty in the waking state that we don't see the disassociation in the sleep and we don't even question why can't that be my real state and this be something like a dream that has happened. We take this state, that this association with this name and form to be ourself. And this is the crux of the problem. Last week, we saw how the ignorance which may be there that like in the deep sleep, even though I may not have any thinking, even though I may not have any body form in the deep sleep, dreamless sleep, still I don't wake up being knowledgeful of myself. Therefore, the Shastra says there is ignorance or there is still an outward turned attention to the darkness, and therefore we are not able to see who sees that absence, or as Bhagavan is saying, we do not exist, we do not see that even in the deep sleep. That we superimpose uh, what we concluded, and which was also, I said, was discussed in Tattva Bodhini, was that in this dreamless sleep, though there is ignorance, it it did not cause any bewilderment like in the waking state. In the waking state, also we have the ignorance, the wrong idea. I still don't have the right idea of who I am in the waking state as much as in the deep sleep. But in the deep sleep, I was at least peaceful. And I don't find myself to be so in this waking state. This we discussed and we looked at it. And, and it was said in Tattva Bodhini by Kameshwarji in his introductory verse. It was very beautifully brought out. It is not the ignorance which causes us much of the problem. It is that we think that ignorance identity to be oneself that causes the problem. Even here, the devotee is saying, in the deep sleep, I was not aware of everything. That means whatever was the experience, we are superimposing that to be oneself. But to whom we don't question. And we saw how in reality in 40 verses, Bhagavan says that both knowledge and ignorance of object is nothing but ignorance only. We may say that I have some knowledge about computers, or I may say I don't have any knowledge about computers. Both of us keeps us away from the reality that we are, and therefore it is nothing but ignorance. Only when we inquire to whom is this knowledge and ignorance, then Bhagavan says the true gnana, the true realization that what we are happens. And essentially, it means that when it is not the ignorance which really brings about the problem, that in the sense what I know or what I don't know doesn't bring the problem. I take that to be me. That is the whole problem. Then that is when I get associated. Either I will have a pride that I know, or I will have a difficult bewilderment, a sort of uneasiness that I don't know, whereas others know. So that association of or taking that to be me is the source of the problem. We looked at it. So Bhagavan continues here. Which is then your real nature? Is it to be associated with the thinking or to be disassociated? Devotee says, I see it now, but I was not aware of my being in the sleep. Though we say we see it, intellectually we grasp it, but we forget to see that we have seen through the frame of thought process. We have not really experienced what Bhagavan is saying, that I am really associating with the thinking faculty in the waking, and I should be rather disassociated with. It is the thinking faculty, or taking that thinking faculty to be me, is what is causing all this problem. I don't see that, but I understand what Bhagavan is saying, again intellectually. Therefore, this question comes that I did not experience my being in the sleep. That thought, again, which is an objective knowledge, comes up. Bhagavan says, you say so now, you did not say so in your sleep. So, or do you deny your existence in the sleep? The devotee says, no. So, time and time again, as Bhagavan in his death experience says, there was no thought about the experience that was happening, but he could clearly understand, vividly see that he is nothing but the pure existence consciousness, and whatever is happening to the body, whether the breath getting slow or the circulation stopping, he was clear that he is aware of all of this thing external to him, and he says that it was not based on any thought process. So that's why Bhagavan says here in the earlier stage itself, why should you do anything? Keep quiet, be what you are, the pure being existence. Why do you need to take this personality to be real and try to make this personality understand about truth or anything? By taking this personality to be real, we are juggling with the thought world, because the I thought is the personality. It is the I thought with which we associate and rise as an individual. And moment we take that and then use it as a faculty to understand, we don't understand that we are in a cocoon and trying to get out of it at the same time. So that's why Bhagavan says, why do you want to do anything? Keep quiet. Finally, Bhagavan, when the devotee says that he understands that he was non-existent in the sleep, Bhagavan clearly brings out that it amounts to this, that you exist in both states. The absolute existence is the self. You are also conscious of the existence. Existence is also consciousness. That is your real nature. So it is, if we don't take any of our personal attribute and take it to be me and use that as a means to understand. If I don't have any thought about the past, the future, and the present, I don't have any of this personality, thought of any of this personality to be me, then what remains is the pure existence consciousness. And that is what Bhagavan makes us to go. Every time a thought rises, which is nothing but associated with the personality, if we inquire, we will find it is to be me. This thought is for me. And therefore, Bhagavan asks, who am I? It is that we have arisen as this personality or taken that to be real. So, by inquiring, who am I, really tracing the I thought, what do I really refer to as I within me? When we inquire, we see that even this I thought appeared to this existence consciousness. And therefore, I am that unchanging existence consciousness alone. And that is my real nature. To remain in my real nature without any thought, because all thoughts are nothing but the ego. That is the real abidance as oneself. The immense grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we have come to this most direct path. For the next 20 minutes, let us do Atma Vichara. No matter how many thoughts rise, we can be sure that all of that is nothing but my identity with the limited being idea that I am as the ego. Therefore, by questioning every thought, to whom is this? Who am I turn my attention away from that limited identification to the one to whom all of this appears, the pure existence consciousness. And by repeatedly turning to my reality with the inquiry, here and now, I only experience nothing but my myself. That is what Bhagavan's Atmavichara, even the path makes us establish in that truth that we are, verily are. And by repeated practice, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain strength. That means all the vasanas which drive us outward, thinking that that is the way out, that is the identity of ours, will be removed, and the true identity that we are, the pure existence consciousness, will alone be rise and shine. With the immense grace of Bhagavan, for the next 20 minutes, let us do Atma Vichara. Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana. Over to Nanda Kumarji.
Namo Ramana. I'm standing in for Akka today, who is traveling to Tirunamalai. Akka was saying that she was covering the self-enquiry questions from Ramana Gita at present. She had come to that portion, so it would be appropriate to read something on self-enquiry, she said. So we are reading talk number 609. Some aspects of the journey Bhagavan points out. Lady Bateman and others came to the hall at about 3:30 p.m. In a few minutes, she asked in writing, if one is nearer to the pure consciousness in deep sleep than in waking state. So usually this is Bhagavan's instruction that take the consciousness as it was in deep sleep. So she is voicing that as a thought. That is one nearer to pure consciousness in deep sleep state than in waking state. Bhagavan. The sleep, dream, and waking states are mere phenomena appearing on the self, which is itself stationary and also a state of simple awareness. Can anyone remain away from the self at any moment? This question can arise only if that were possible. So, even a thought that is generated based on Bhagavan's teachings, if it is merely a thought, it has to be put aside. Like Bhagavan may have said in another talk that let the consciousness, was this problem there in deep sleep? Was the world in deep sleep? So, which would mean that go to that awareness, that beingness which was there in deep sleep. But if you coin that into a thought and say that were we nearer to the self, that is unnecessary. That is to go to the state of deep sleep, you have to remove thought. Now, if you make it as a thought, just even though it is based on Bhagavan's earlier instructions, if you make a thought out of it, then we are missing the point. So Bhagavan will remove that thought for us. So the self is changeless. All the states are changing. So there is nothing like nearness to self or far from the self, Bhagavan says. Devotee, is it not often said that one is nearer pure consciousness in deep slumber than in waking state, indicating, though she is not pointing out, that Bhagavan himself has said like that. Maharishi, the question may as well be, am I nearer to myself in my sleep than in my waking state? Again, Bhagavan is negating that thought. That why do you go into this analysis, whether we are nearer or far, which will only be thoughts, you put them away. Don't do analysis. Actually go to that place of deep sleep here itself, removing all thoughts. For the self is pure consciousness. No one can ever be away from the self. The question is possible only if there is duality. Nearer, far, has my sadhana brought me very close, or am I still very far away? All these are unnecessary thoughts or judgments. One has to drop them. The question is possible that you are nearer or farther away only if there is duality. But there is no duality in the state of pure consciousness. The same person sleeps, dreams, and wakes up. The waking state is considered to be full of beautiful and interesting things. The absence of such experiences makes one say that sleep state is dull. But we proceed further. Let us make this point clear. Before we proceed further, let us make this point clear. Do you not admit that you exist in your sleep? Devotee, yes, I do. Maharishi, you are the same person that is now awake. Is that not so? Is it not so? Devotee, yes. Maharishi. So, there is a continuity in the sleep and waking states. What is that continuity? It is only the state of pure being. So, what is it that is there both in sleep and in the wakeful state? Is the being that you exist. There is difference in the two states. What is that difference? The incidents, namely the body, the world, and the objects appear in the waking state, but they disappear in sleep. Devotee. But I am not aware in my sleep. Maharishi. True. There is no awareness of the body or of the world. But you must exist in your sleep in order to say now, I was not aware in my sleep. So Bhagavan is pointing out that somewhere in the memory it has recorded that I did not remember these things, I was not aware in sleep. To have recorded in memory, you must have existed, isn't it? Only if you exist, you can record a memory of not knowing any of these in deep sleep. Who says so now? It is the wakeful person. The sleeper cannot say so. That is to say, the individual who is now identifying the self with the body says that such awareness did not exist in sleep. Because you identify yourself with the body, you see the world around you and say that the waking state is filled with beautiful and interesting things. The sleep state appears dull because you were not there as an individual and therefore these things were not. But what is the fact? There is the continuity of being in all the three states, but no continuity of the individual and the objects. Devotee, yes. Maharishi, that which is continuous is also enduring. That which is continuous is also enduring, permanent. That which is discontinuous is transitory. So the I is continuously there, but whatever the I is holding on to and is dropping off in deep sleep, those are the variations. So whatever is continuous, hold that alone, is what Bhagavan is saying here. That which is continuous is also enduring, permanent. That which is discontinuous is transitory. Devotee, yes. Maharishi. Therefore, the state of being is permanent and the body and the world are not. They are fleeting phenomena passing on the screen of being consciousness, which is eternal and stationary. Devotee. Relatively speaking, is not sleep nearer to pure consciousness than waking state? So she is not living. She is going back to the old point and saying, at least relatively speaking, do you agree? Bhagavan, yes. In this sense, when passing from sleep to waking, the I thought must start. The mind must come into play. Thoughts arise. And then the functions of the body come into operation. All these together make us say that we are awake. The absence of all this evolution is the characteristic of sleep, and therefore it is nearer to pure consciousness than waking state. So now Bhagavan, having enforced the point that don't make a thought out of it, actually get rid of those thoughts, then he is conceding her point. See, when a devotee is ready to take the Guru's words and dive in, then the positive affirmation is also there from the Guru. The negation is to let go of the thought, but when the devotee is having that humbleness, then it will help the devotee to submerge when the Guru says, yes, it is like this, you can go in. So Bhagavan tells yes, that in this sense that it is on raising that the I thought arises and the other things come up, that the preceding state must have been closer to and without differences from the pure consciousness. But one should not therefore desire to be always in sleep. In the first place, it is impossible, or it will necessarily alternate with the other states. Secondly, it cannot be the state of bliss in which the jnani is, for his state is permanent and not alternating. Moreover, the sleep state is not recognized to be one of awareness by people, but the sage is always aware. So one should not therefore desire to be sleeping all the time. One should bring that object free consciousness into the waking itself. Thus, the sleep state differs from the state in which the sage is established. Still more, sleep state is free from thoughts and their impression to the individual. It cannot be altered by one's will because effort is impossible in that condition. That can you do sadhana in deep sleep? We cannot do sadhana. Therefore, there cannot be vasana reduction. So, deep sleep state by itself is not to be sought, but the quality of deep sleep in consciousness, that is the object free, thought free nature, should be brought here. Still more, the sleep state is free from thoughts and their impression to the individual. It cannot be altered by one's will because effort is impossible in that condition. Although nearer to pure consciousness, it is not fit for efforts to realize the self. The incentive to realize can arise only in the waking state, and efforts can also be made only when one is awake. We learn that the thoughts in the waking state form the obstacle to gaining the stillness of sleep. So, the stillness of sleep is the critical phrase that Bhagavan is giving. The stillness of sleep is to be brought in the waking state. Be still and know that I am God. So, that is the phrase from the Bible. Be still and know that I am is God. So, stillness is the aim of the seeker. So, what is the aim of the seeker? What is the aim of all sadhana? To be still. Here onwards, 2-3 quotes which are found very interesting and often quoted, we get into from this talk. So, stillness is the aim of the seeker. Even a single effort to still at least a single thought, even for a trace, goes a long way to reach the state of quiescence. This is one of the beautiful quotes that is often quoted for self-enquiry. I'll read that again. Even a single effort. Many of us, we live off self-enquiry saying that it's so difficult. But Bhagavan is saying, even a single effort, one thought, who is sitting, that's all. Even a single effort to still at least a single thought, even for a trace, even for a smallest of seconds, goes a long way to reach the state of quiescence. This one should underline, keep in one's heart whenever one feels that this is a very difficult sadhana, it's not possible for me. We should read this again and again and reinforce our faith in Bhagavan's words. Even a single effort to still at least a single thought, even for a trace, the smallest of time, goes a long way to reach the state of quiescence. Effort is required and it is possible only in the waking state. There is effort here, there is awareness also. The thoughts are still, so there is peace of sleep gained. So Bhagavan is bringing both waking and sleep together now. How he is bringing? There is effort here in the waking. There is effort here. There is awareness also. The thoughts are still, so there is the peace of sleep. The stillness of sleep is gained here. So when with consciousness we still the thoughts, we are bringing deep sleep here. Deep sleep which appears to be away, sometime away, we are bringing it here into the now. So both waking state and deep sleep, which are two different things, are now coalesced into one as Jagrat Sushupti. There is effort there, there is also awareness. The thoughts are stilled, so the peace of sleep is gained. That is the state of the Jnani. It is neither sleep nor waking, but the intermediate between the two. So it is the conjuncture, it is the joining place where the rivers of waking and deep sleep, they meet, they become one, they merge. There is the awareness of the waking state and the stillness of the sleep. So what is there in Jagrat Sushupti? There is the awareness of the waking state and there is the stillness, the absolute non-moving nature of the sleep. It is called Jagrat Sushupti. Call it wakeful sleep or sleeping wakefulness or sleepless waking or wakeless sleep. It is not the same as sleep or waking. separately. It is Ati Jagrat, beyond wakefulness. It is Ati Sushupti, beyond sleep. It is the state of perfect awareness and of perfect stillness combined. It lies between sleep and waking. Between two huge states of sleep and waking, what is there? This Jagrat Sushupti is there. It is also there in the interval between two successive thoughts. This is something very beautiful. What is there between two grand states, the waking state and the deep sleep state, is also available between two thoughts. And this gap is where we are asked to go in self-enquiry. As soon as a thought arises, do not pursue it, but ask, for whom is this thought? This thought is for me. Who am I? Goes in the gap between this thought and the next. That Jagrat Sushupti, which is present between the two states, is also present just between the two thoughts. And self-enquiry takes us again and again to that Jagrat Sushupti, the state of the Jnani. It lies between sleep and waking. It is also the interval between two successive thoughts. It is the source from which thoughts spring. We see that when we wake up from sleep. In other words, thoughts have their origin in the stillness of sleep. The thoughts make all the difference between stillness of sleep and the turmoil of waking. Go to the root of the thoughts and you reach the stillness of the sleep. Go to the root of the thoughts and you reach the stillness of the sleep. But you reach it in full vigor of search. That is, with perfect awareness. Retaining awareness, you are bringing in the stillness of sleep. That is why it is called Jagrat Shushupti. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. Apara Satchit Sukhavarirashi Yasyormimatram Bhuvanam Samastam Guhahitam Tam Ramanam Gabhiram Chintavihinam Hrudi Chintayami Chintavihinam Hrudi Chintayami. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody.